Friends, I am Rick, and this is your seat at the table. And up to my left, sitting at her, behaving herself, is Frankie. Stick tuned to the very end of this video because I have a little tacked on video of Frankie going ape shit over a string. Just my opinion, of course. Anyway, we are looking at the technical readout, the TRO, for the return of Kerensky 3050. And this is pretty thick. They've added a lot of mechs. As Battletech progresses over the decades, as each era comes out, they increase the number of mechs available, and new mechs come out, new variants on old mechs come out. Resurgent mech technology from Star League starts to reappear in the Inner Sphere. The clans have a lot of second tier BattleMech forces that are using repurposed clan versions of older designs and Inner Sphere captured material, as well as brand new smacking designs that start to resurge. Of course, this is a ploy by the game company to create more stuff that they can sell to you and more options for you to enjoy, to play, and operate in. So once again, there are plenty of great video sites out there that are doing in-depth reviews of individual mech designs, and they're much better than anything I could produce. My intention is not to go through the lengthy amount of different types of mechs that there are, although I do intend to do some opinion pieces on mech classes and some things like, why are there so many mediocre mech designs, especially early in? Why are there so many variants of mediocre mech designs, etc., and my opinions of them, of course, but that'll be up the road at some point, and we'll see where we go. I bought this in 1990, brand new when it came out. Battletech Read is 15 bucks. Right, buying those things today, and this is one of those things that I love the TROs. I have bought only one new one recent in the last 2 years, and I kind of got burned on it because it turned out that basically it's a catalyst reintroduces a TRO that covered all the older stuff. A lot of the older stuff that was in a couple of the earliest ones are in that TRL, so I really didn't need to have it. Other than having it added to my shelf, it has no value to me individually, so I kind of, is what it is. So we got our introduction from our Comstar buddies about the TRO. Final days of 3049 and continuing to 3050, the shape of the Inner Sphere has begun to change. From the beyond the periphery comes the Jade Falcons, the Wolves, Smoke Jaguars, and the Ghost Bears, invading warrior clans, easily pushed aside the defending armies in their way. In less than a year, the clans seized more than 100 worlds from Successor States. For 250 years, the House Lords fought among themselves, etc., etc. You see, they come in and they grab 100 planets. Just keep in mind, they came in from the periphery, so they hit the back end. They hit the houses from the rear, and they invaded from a poorly defended outback area. The Inner Sphere houses are primarily focused on each other and their borders with each other. So the lion's share of their line forces, their heavy reinforcements, their capacity for and equipment and logistics system is geared outward in. So the clans gained some significant gains in that first year, in part because they hit either undefended or woefully under-defended world. And a handful of places that were well defended, the clans still carry today because they had shock value on their side. They have superior technology and very dedicated pilots and warriors and many advantages. But over time, that decreases. The number of worlds that they're able to capture and retain as we come up to Tukiad is slowing down. They're not having as easy of a time. They're having a bigger fight for most worlds. That's not to say that they don't just still have some cakewalks, because once again, the House Lords have been doing this a long time. There's such a value in giving ground There's such a thing, and it's a tactic that's or a strategy that's accepted and been accepted with human warfare since time began. Sometimes you give ground to gain time or to concentrate your forces. So when you're able to hit back, you hit back with a sledgehammer with enough force to break or destroy your foe. And when you got the size and numbers of worlds and systems that the Inner Sphere has, take into point, it takes literally a year or better to travel across the Inner Sphere, potentially 2 years. From the one side to the other, at 30 light years a jump, it's 40 jumps to cross the Inner Sphere, because they don't normally do this. Usually they come in and they go out, they come in, they go out, they come in, change ships, change ships, change ships, you see? So anyway, we got rivalry information on the clans, bidding intent, non-military technology. So not only are the clans advanced militarily, they also possess other sophisticated science, notably in the areas of medicine. President Marshall has reported amazing cases where advanced medical techniques have kept severely injured people alive and then brought them back from the brink of death. One member of the clans even mentioned that they could have saved the President Marshall's lost eye if he'd been there at the time. He's also reported amazing cases which artificial skin seals a wound, actually administers medicine automatically. Their spaceships apparently aligned with similar substance that seals holes in the hull. Organization, Hackniks, OmniMechs, all this stuff you're pretty much familiar with. Elementals, of course. These things were a horrible shock to the Inner Sphere when they first arrived, but the truth is they're based off of technology that was being developed toward the end of the Star League. So we got the light mechs, various mechs, and like I said, I'm not going to try to do all these because I'm just not going to do it. There's just too many of them. All right, Man at War, Gladiators, and we got Inner Sphere. Let me get into, let's take a gander at this for a minute. All right, once again, pages like going to stick that, yep, 2 pages there. All right, so introduction, production. Thus is the fourth succession where the War 3039 gave the successor states good reason to step up mech production. In the years of peace that followed, the great houses profited from a chance to regroup and set new priorities. House Krita was especially busy. The Draconis Combat created brand new units, found ways to strengthen its military with support from the powerful Yakuza crime syndicates, and carried out such ingenious deployments of the War 3039 that took the mighty Federated Commonwealth by surprise, etc. Stein worked on creative version of the Steiner Hatchman is in progress for years. Transition from the Dragon to Grand Dragon, although the process of Hatchman has been slow. Grand Dragon successes certainly offset it. 2 other designs of more recent vintage, the Wolf Trap and the Mauler, also show promise. Blah, blah, blah. Technology, strategy. Appearance of the new enemies provided the impetus for the Inner Sphere strategists to reevaluate old ways of fighting wars. Using inferior equipment has forced the generals to come up with alternatives to standard power tactics. In the first wave of clan invasion, the range advantage that the mechs presented the gravest problem to the Inner Sphere armies had to face. It remains to focus on successor states' alternative tactics. Reduced to fighting from the midst of sandstorms and hiding in swamps draped with foil, the troops of the Inner Sphere have been able to hand the clans their first defeat. Inner Sphere response, deployment, light mechs. So we see an introduction of old clan or old SLDF versions, thanks to the Helm Memory Core, and also infusions from to like the Draconis Combine from Comstar, etc. A lot of updated material, a lot of updated machinery. A lot of tried and true designs using more superior technology, although once again there's a lot of debate. Obviously the clan technology is going to be far superior to the Inner Spheres. Even the Inner Spheres advanced technology is still out of step with clan level stuff. The clan ER laser is a much superior device. It's cooler, smaller, etc., than the Inner Sphere version, and there's a lot of people that do not like the Inner Sphere version of the large laser. But my argument is, yeah, it's a crappy design, but guess what? It is the progression to get from where they were in 3025 to having their version of a clan ER large laser in another 20 or 30 years. You know, argument. How long that takes is yet to be defined. So we go on. Urban Mech, the much maligned Irby. Everybody loves to hate on the Irby, right? I think it's a good design, but it has some serious flaws, obviously. The first flaw is for a 30 tech mech, the damn thing moves like it's a geriatric assault mech. With a maximum speed of 30 mile an hour, it literally cannot pace anything in its class. Most ground vehicles can outrun it, outmaneuver it. The only true value is just numbers. They're cheap to manufacture. This is why they're still in production. There's been a few attempts at upgrading it and increasing its viability, but you know it just even with the addition of jump jets and advanced weapon systems, the lack of speed is a big problem. Lack of speed. So this is definitely a situational machine. This is designed for specific environments, and even then it doesn't excel. There are always more designs that are better. Of the mediocre designs, this is one that I really do agree is the last ditch thing. Just saying. And yet we still have them and we still produce them. One of the reasons I want to do a video on mediocre mech designs and why there's so many, why they still exist, in my opinion, of course, and so on and so forth. So, medium mechs, Cicada, Clint. Another topic came up from last night's podcast on Red's channel, and I'll put a link if I remember to do it. I'll put a link to his channel. I don't always agree on everything he says, but the fact he's working his butt off, he's trying to make a career out of catering to the Battletech and the Battletech fan base. I think that's a good thing. I wish I had 1/10 of his time. I could do better videos for damn sure. I don't know if I could do more of them, but I would definitely could do better quality. That said, you know, I'm approaching 400 subscribers. I've gained 100 subscribers since doing this Battletech stuff, and I'm utterly grateful for every one of you. I have no pretensions of this being a paid channel where I can make money, but I would surely like to get a excess of 1,000 subscribers in the near future, so I can step up a few things. I miss the old days when I could do videos on the field. I used to be able to do some off-the-cuff live videos while I was at work and just discuss stuff. And some of those videos are crap. I get it. They definitely would lack a lot of visual aid that I can do with this program I'm using. And this program I got itself, there's a lot of options on it that I can't really afford to have. So I don't have them. This is X something. It's not telling me what it is right off the top, but it's a decent program, although I'm still having issues with trying to. I just don't have the time to really get into the fine tuning of doing editing work and things like that. And then look, I can make 100 entries attempts, and as you well know by now, I have pronunciation issues. I'm quite knowledgeable, but I'm not 100% knowledgeable. You know, a lot of this is based on what I think I know. And what I've recently reread. Other stuff is I'm just not a good orator. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm speaking from what I love and not because I've got some kind of talent for this. That's obvious, right? And I butcher place names, something horrific. Although, over time, I've gotten to where I can say hegemony now. I could not do that when I first started doing some of these videos. I still struggle with it sometimes. I also have a bit of dyslexia, and that causes me some issues sometimes. So it is what it is. Cynthia Whitworth. One of those topics we had on the channel last night is interesting enough to bring up if I can find it. The blackjack. One of the few things that Red said that FASA actually had to redact do a redaction on a mech design because it was so poorly designed, and everybody thought that when it came out that there must have been something off, something was wrong, and I don't know that. Truth is, I knew we played it a number of times and we thought it was just a screw up on. Well, we knew it was a screw up of some sort because it absolutely could not function at all with its issues. But we never really paid attention to it until it kind of became a bit of a running gag on his channel yesterday. It's the blackjack that was issued in 1990, and this was through several versions of the TRO, and before they finally did a redaction and changed it. When they created it, it's got 2 ER large lasers and 4 SRM-2 streak launchers, which produces a prodigious amount of heat. It has heat sinks. It says it has 11, but they only mask 1. So 1 ton. So in reality, it only has 1 heatsink, and it's not possible to you can't fire even one of your weapons without crippling yourself. It's just retarded. So this is a first run, first edition version of this TRO. Most of my game books, when I got them, first run, first rendition, because as soon as fast they put them out, as soon as they hit the shelves at the bookstore, I bought them up. And keep in mind that this is before the internet, or as the internet's beginning to progress, you didn't get PDFs. Those are rare and usually pirated copies of somebody managing to copy these things. What we're talking about is basically having what's produced in this format, in a book format that's available, and you bought it from a bookstore or through a catalog. Now that probably 50 to 75% or more of the material that Catalyst puts out is in a PDF format, and I've said that before. I have issues with PDFs. I don't have the technology to tote them around. I don't have an iPad and things like that. I can't afford them. They're just outside my budget, and I can't afford the software and the internet access to those things on a regular basis either. So I have what I have, and that's all I can do. So the only way I can make a PDF function for me is I would have to copy it, take it to work, run it out on the damn Xerox machine out there, and make a hard copy version. The downside to that is, first off, that's a lot of paper and ink that my company's printer is going to burn up, and I kind of feel bad about that because I can't do that at home. I don't have my printer's tiny, and I don't have the money to replace the ink cartridges. In fact, I haven't replaced the current ink cartridge in over a year because it needs to be replaced, but I just don't have the money to do it. The damn cartridges cost more than the stupid printer does. It's just part of the way they've designed things. So I wait for the hardbacks. Empire Rising or whatever is now the newest release, and I'm hoping that they will have a print on demand. I know it costs twice as much, but I would much more rather have the hardback. So there's a lot of great material that I don't own, and I won't own, and I probably will never own. And I don't know that I'll even have the opportunity to read it, because the hardback version allows me to tote it with me and read it where I can. I can be in the can and be reading. I can't do that with a PDF. That's what it is. So Griffin, let me get into this. See, the heavies, Grand Dragon, Hostile, Thunderbolt, Caesar, Grasshopper, Warhammer, and there's a lot of people hate on the old fast artwork, and yeah, they were low budget, but they weren't that bad, and they still served a purpose. And they've improved. They got better as fast as budget went up and they had more money. And yeah, they're not on the scale of the current stuff, but then you have a whole effort generation of artists who grew up doing this stuff and love it. So, and then you have the digital artists who can do versions digitally you can't do with pen and paper. And so the Assault Mechs, I don't poo-poo the pictures. I don't care how crude they look, because they still give you at least a visual idea of what we're looking at and what it is you're facing, so on and so forth. All right. And then we get into advanced technology. So, Marauder 2, that's a beastly machine. Engineered test, weapons, Inner Sphere versus Clan, LBX-10s, Gauss rifles, Arrow 4s, Narc missiles, anti-personnel pods, etc., etc. And you're familiar with all this stuff. If you've been gaming, if you've been playing, even the video games cover a lot of this material. You get the general idea. So, Omni Fighter types, engineer tests, right? So, you know, that's like one of those things here, the Gauss rifle. One of the most popular damage weapons there are for ballistic weapons is the Gauss rifle now. And everybody, everybody wants to have it. Everyone amounts. Okay, so what's the point of having all the other weapon systems? They're in manufacture. They've been in manufacture. There's plenty of places that manufacture them. There's a buttload of them in surplus, and numbers wear out. Gauss rifles are also finicky. They're a little bit delicate. Technically, they're prone to some issues, and they're expensive. So when you're on a budget and you're trying to, field 400 or 40 line mechs or line regiments and 120 secondary regiments, you just can't have a Gauss rifle on every weapon or every machine. It just doesn't play out that way. Anyway, this is Rick, and we're looking at the return of Kerensky, and here is Frankie and her string.
You want, Frankie? You want something? Here. You want that? No. You want that? No. What? You want that one here? You want this thing up here? Want this thing here? Huh? You do? What do you want? You want this? What is it? You want this thing? Yeah? It's just a string on. It's a ratty string on a stick, and you just go goober for it, don't you? Yes, you do. Now what? You gonna share? You gonna share? You gonna share? Nope. And there she goes with the string.